More reviews. Monkey Business. How director Terry Gilliam got Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, and Madeline Stowe to work cheap. Gilliam has a grim view.
A nice photo, see that?
Sitting on the table.
The poster.
The film, 12 Monkeys, are violence, language, sex, nudity. Where's there sex in it?
No, nowhere.
No. This is, let's sue them for misrepresentation. Stars, there we go.
Can I get you anything else?
How long do we have to hang about before the show actually
The show starts at 5:30.
5:30.
Tonight, Mandy Patinkin and director Terry Gilliam.
What do you think of the intro?
Hi, is he there?
What intro? Please welcome one of Hollywood's true creative visionaries, Terry Gilliam. I'm not gonna say Hollywood. I've now become a Hollywood director. There's no stopping these folk.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest was one of the founding members of Monty Python and has since gone on to direct such films as Brazil, The Fisher King, and now 12 Monkeys, which opens today. Please welcome one of Hollywood's true creative visionaries, Terry Gilliam. Action on the crane.
I don't know anything about monkey or
Juice is abuse! Juice is abuse! And action.
Even those windows up, you can hit them.
In November of 1994, Terry Gilliam began production on what he calls his 7.5 feature film, 12 Monkeys. Although he normally develops his own projects and works on the fringes of the Hollywood system, Terry comes to 12 Monkeys as a director for hire. He's now part of a commercial film package that includes someone else's script, major studio financing, and some of Hollywood's most powerful stars.
There's a side of me that's just permanently sick to my stomach, feeling I'm being dragged into the abyss of success, that system. On the other hand, there's a side of me that thinks maybe I'm getting away with murder within the system. Maybe I am making a European art movie within the Hollywood system. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll just be caught.
Terry's movies are too big in scope to be anything but films that are intended for a broad audience. And as much as Terry might not want to be in the Hollywood system, he knows he's never going to be able to get the kind of money he wants to make those hugely ambitious movies that his vision is without somehow involving the studio system. So that's the paradox, isn't it?
Terry's experiences in Hollywood have not always been pleasant. In 1985, Terry delivered Brazil to Universal. Universal didn't like the film and decided to shorten it and try out a happier ending. Though Terry didn't have final cut, he thought he'd have the final word and made the Battle of Brazil public. He placed a full-page ad in Variety. He arranged illegal screenings for the LA Critics Circle. When the film won the LA Critics Best Picture Award, Universal released Terry's version of Brazil. In 1987, Terry began work on The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. The production was plagued with disasters and expensive ideas. The studio found the film too confusing for mass appeal, and to avoid spending even more money, it put little effort into Munchausen's marketing campaign. As a result, the film floundered at the box office, and Terry was left with a bad reputation in Hollywood.
After Munchausen, I just went into a big depression about filmmaking, period. And then Fisher King came along, and it was a script, the first one that I hadn't been involved in the writing of, and I really liked it. And it was the easiest film I've ever made, and one of the most enjoyable. And it was successful. Very dangerous stuff, this. And then I went and got a Hollywood agent. And now I've got a Hollywood lawyer as well. There's an ironic aspect to this whole thing because, you know, Brazil was made for Universal Pictures. On the other hand, I'm in a situation on this film where I got final cut. I got control of it. And that's all I've ever wanted, is control of it. And I seem to have it on this one.
Terry's asked us to make a documentary about the making of 12 Monkeys.
The boys, the gentlemen, the artists, the documentarians. It's the big moment. The birth of a great documentary.
He's jokingly suggested that if anything should go wrong, at least this time he'll have witnesses.
There's a sadness about this thing, there's a decay about it, there's a nostalgia. These are elements of the film, I think. What is nice about this is just the monotonous, forever going in a circle. Everybody just dutifully following one ass after another. This is humanity, just the monkeys, except for the one that breaks loose. The dangerous, destructive one. This script is very disconcerting because it's dealing with time, it's dealing with madness, it's dealing with perception of what the world is or isn't.
On the surface, it's kind of a science fiction thriller about a virus that wipes out humanity.
It's the idea of one man traveling back through time to put together the jigsaw puzzle.
But in fact, maybe he really isn't from the future, and maybe all of this in his head.
For the first 50 pages of the script, you have no idea what's going on.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that as the credits roll, the audience will have figured it out? Or are they going to be going home in their cars arguing about it? No, he could have done this. I wonder if, do we want to make the answer clear enough that they can figure it out that night on the way home, or that it just remains ambiguous?
The studio's been very strange on it because they put a cap on it because they feel it, at the time, I think they feel it's an art movie. They don't know what to make of it. It doesn't fit in any genre or mold that makes sense to them. And it was really only when they got Bruce involved, Bruce Willis, that it became a more viable project. They're obsessed about things like opening weekend, and then someone like Bruce guarantees an opening weekend. And so with him, it became definite.
Here we go, stand by.
Okay, let's roll.
Okay, let's go.
Terry completely insisted on a final cut, and the studio said, well, okay, fine, as long as he delivers the movie no worse than an R rating and no longer than 2 hours and 15 minutes, we'll give him the final cut. But the financial responsibility will absolutely not be ours.
This budget,
how much commission?
137 pages.
I
it's
remember
longer than the
every
script.
line of
You
it.
remember every line?
Yeah. Okay, you don't have to worry ever about money, ever. You only have to worry about the way it gets spent.
The discipline that was put on us that was not particularly pleasant, but which was a finite amount of money and much less than what we needed, forced us all to work to find solutions to try and make this movie within that budget. But we have a long script, we have a dense script, we have a short schedule, and we have a limited amount of money. and so inevitably you pay the price.
The first bear that Terry chose was a rip-off. I mean, not the bear, but the owner of the bear was asking something ludicrous.
Because the plasterers are $350 a day.
The driver is costing $2,800 a week.
Well, the Marx Brothers for $10,000, the image of them.
We could purchase either one of them for their rock bottom price of $7,500.
This thing right now, I had it bid, it was at $20,000 just for this. And
I
so
don't get
I'm
these,
going to try and
I really
cut
don't
it,
get these prices. There's got to
cut
be
it down.
ways.
Well,
yeah.
I'm like on the edge on every set.
No, I know. That's why. I mean, we've got to find ways of.
I'm trying. That's why I had this feeling that the movie should have this kind of feeling of decay of the past with it, and because we didn't have money, we couldn't build a whole lot of big sets, but I wanted a big look for the film. So we decided to use old power plants, old crumbling buildings, and kind of show the decay of civilization within the 1990s as well as in the year 2035.
I can see, now, here's what we got to do is, that thing is going to have to go below. Yours is really going to be attached on that. Just stand.
So when we got there and we started talking about, well, that machine could be this, you know, and then they started working the script around things we found.
The time machine sequence in the script was originally, I think, about 2 lines. Coal is wheeled on a gurney and put into a steel tube. And as we were wandering around these power stations in Philly and looking at these gigantic turbines and these huge, this massive machinery, I just felt we got to make a time machine. And so I convinced everybody, let's go for it and let's create a massive time machine.
It seemed that even by the time I had arrived on the film, that everybody, Terry, Jeff, the producers, must have talked endlessly about the time machine, and yet never quite honed in on it. And it started to happen in daily meetings that Terry and Jeff and I had. And what developed was using found objects, using things that I would literally find in the gutter or in flea markets, coming across some piece of scrap metal or some domestic item and adapting that and making it into something unusual.
Well, I became more and more obsessed as I was through this whole film about, condoms and bubbles and sealing, the boy in the bubble, sealing things from other things. And so we built a cocoon that would transport him into the machine. And it was just extraordinary. It seemed like an amniotic sac, something to do with birth and death, the two things being closely related in my mind.
I think Terry's always looking for a different edge. He approaches it very straight. He goes, we're going to make a little movie. And then suddenly it becomes a big movie. He said, I have to start out little because it's going to become big anyway. It's me. That's what he says.
Look at this. This is fucking great. I was just reading the script again. The gurney is wheeled into coal on a gurney wheel into a steel tube.
That much of
No mistakes this time, Cole.
Stay alert. Keep your eyes open.
You're thinking about the spider, Cole. Try and do something like that again.
I think when we did the time machine, the set looked like the theatrical set in a strange way. I thought, this is silly. This isn't intimidating. This isn't worrying. This is silly and it's funny. Actually, I suppose it's like, late in life trying to learn to be a director is what I'm trying to teach myself. How do you become a director when it's not your stuff? And so you try to make it yours. It is harder doing other people's scripts because I feel a great responsibility to the writers. And I fight making it a Terry Gilliam film.